walked through the damp, foggy streets, my mind swirling. So much content, so many podcasts. How do I find the best? Then it hit me, like a big blue neon sign flashing through the mist. Blueberry. All I had to do was drop the E's and go to blueberry.com. Blueberry, the digital media interface for consumers, creators, and advertisers.
This podcast is copyrighted by the End Times Tribune. Feel free to visit our homepage at End Times Tribune, that's all one word, endtimestribune.com. And you can certainly tweet us at End Times Tribune. That's at End Times Tribune. Now, on with the show.
Now let's take a moment and discern the spirit.
Alrighty then.
It is a recruitment effort for your children.
Oh, somebody please think of the children!
Let's stop forcing each other to do things, you frickin' Nazis. Don't call me a Nazi.
If a gay couple was to come in, like say they wanted us to provide them pizzas for a wedding, we would have to say no.
You don't change anything. That ends up in concentration camps. You just start grinding and grinding and grinding away.
It's Christianity that the left hates most of all, because that is the foundation of our country, and everything, all of our freedoms come from that.
I haven't really talked to a lot of, the customers that have come in. A couple of them, and the ones that I've talked to have been supportive of us.
The fury that has followed has forced that business to shut its doors.
Nothing a little $500,000 GoFundMe campaign can't fix.
You just start grinding and grinding and grinding away.
And don't you love it when politicians contradict themselves in the same sentence?
I think it does not allow for discrimination in any way, and it does not allow for a florist to discriminate against a gay couple looking for flowers. Now, what I think it does allow is for a florist that has a strongly held religious belief to be able to hold that belief close and not participate in the message of a homosexual wedding or ceremony.
Why, it couldn't be clearer. The law does not allow discrimination in the form of florists or cake makers or pizza deliverers to refuse to deliver pizza or cake or flowers to gay weddings. It just allows them to stand by their strongly held religious convictions and not deliver flowers, cake, or pizza to gay weddings. Oh, the logic in these end times.
CNN, GOP is not your friend. Christian right sitting tight, making other folks fight. When there's hard Huckabee, no thinking, ass kicking, watch a Sharia law, even in Arkansas. Kill a Muslim or a Hindu. What's the difference? Make a deal, fuck you. This means we lose. Nominee, not me. Why choose? Testament of lies. Offer me some respite. Offer me quietude. I decline. It's the end of all days as we know them. It's the end of all days as we know them. It's the end of all days as we know them. In these end times. These end times.
And welcome to our second episode of In These End Times. I'm your ghost, or host if you will, the Grim Weeper. And before we get into this whole kerfuffle over pizzas and cakes and flowers, we need to revisit the concept of gays in the Boy Scouts. It turns out that a New York chapter of the Boy Scouts is going against the national organization by appointing a young gay fellow to be an Eagle Scout leader of his troop. Oh, the gates of hell will yawn open wide for the entire state of New York now. course, we all remember the kerfuffle, and I like that word, kerfuffle. When the Boy Scouts voted to allow gay scouts into their ranks, but there was that promise that there'd be no gay scout leaders. Well, in New York, this is, by the way, according to Talking Points memo, which I love dearly. The Boy Scouts New York chapter said yesterday that it has hired the nation's first openly gay Eagle Scout as a summer camp leader, a direct and public challenge to the National Scouting Organization's ban on openly gay adult members. The Boy Scouts national spokesman, Darren Smith, said there was no change in that policy, which has been highly divisive. As for any further response to the New York announcement, Smith said, we're looking into that matter. Well, Boy Scout board member Richard G. Mason said, we received this application from this young man, and we found him highly qualified on all the merits.
But he's a recent Eagle Scout. He's highly meritorious, and we considered him, on the basis of his application, we have a very, very strong anti-discrimination policy. We've had it for many, many years, so this is not new, and we're just applying it here. And he would be employed, as will be employed, has been accepted for employment as a staffer at one of our summer camps. We have terrific summer camps in New York. Our policy has been very clear for many, many years. You can see it right on our website, so we haven't kept a secret at all that we don't discriminate on the basis of anything, frankly, and in this case, sexual orientation, whether you're a young scout or whether you're an adult. And the national organization 2 years ago voted to change its membership standards to allow gay scouts. They did not do so with respect to openly gay adults, and at the time we applauded their movement in the right direction, but we're very public on our website and elsewhere that we thought they needed to go farther.
But of course it would be silly of us to expect that everyone will be happy with this decision.
Hello, my most gentle friends. This is the Most Reverend Apostle Bishop Evangelist Biff Buford from the First Church of the Holy God in Righteousness for His name's sake assembly of apostles and disciples of the one true Jesus. We broadcast from our facilities in East Elbow, Alabama. And although I fear this is much like shutting the barn door after the horses got out, I'm afraid I must warn you about something that it's probably already too late to stop. When the Boy Scouts of America decided to give in to the lure of money, which they say they need to continue to pay for operation expenses, instead of doing the word of the most holy one true Jesus and God, this became inevitable. We take you now to your typical Boy Scout jamboree campout, where Jimmy and Kenny are settling down for the night.
Gosh, Jimmy, I sure had fun being a Boy Scout today.
So did I, Kenny. And I'm happy that they finally let people like me into the Boy Scouts.
What do you mean, people like you, Jimmy?
You know, Kenny, boys that are attracted to other boys.
Oh, heck, I'm attracted to other boys, too. Girls are ucky.
That's not the way I'm talking about, Kenny. I'm talking about sexual attraction. How old are you anyway?
I'm 9 years old.
I'm 11. And I already know a lot of stuff, Kenny.
Like what, Jimmy?
Like, you know how when you go wee-wee, it's usually yellow?
Yeah?
Well, I can show you a way to turn it white and creamy.
Gosh, that sounds like a neat trick. Is it magic?
It will be for one of us.
Wait a minute. What are you doing? Why are you pulling down my pants?
Because I can't put my pee-pee in your pooter hole when you have your pants up.
I don't want you to put your pee-pee in my pooter hole, Jimmy.
Well, you have to, Kenny. It's the new Boy Scout rules. Ever since they decided to let boys like me into the Boy Scouts, what they're saying is, you have to accept us. And that means you have to accept my pee-pee in your poo hole. Understand?
Well, I'm gonna go tell the scout.
Well, you go right ahead and do that, Kenny, but you're not gonna like what happens.
Why? What's gonna happen?
Well, they'll convene a scout council and put you on trial for the crime of non-diversity.
Gosh, that sounds bad.
Oh, it is bad, Kenny. Everybody wants diversity. You understand?
Not really, I don't.
Hi, I'm Scoutmaster Ted. What's going on here? Why aren't you boys asleep yet?
Well, gee, Scoutmaster Ted. Little Kenny over here won't let me put my pee-pee in his poo hole.
Is that true, Kenny?
Yeah, but I don't want him to put his pee-pee in my poo hole.
Now, Kenny, remember, a Boy Scout must respect diversity.
I still don't see what diversity has to do with letting another boy put his pee-pee in my poo hole.
See, Scoutmaster Ted, he's committing a hate crime. Right here in the Boy Scout camporee.
If you want to stay in the Boy Scouts, you have to follow all the Boy Scout rules. And that means accepting the fact that Jimmy is a homosexual. And that means accepting the fact that he is attracted to you and wants to put his pee-pee in your poo hole.
Don't I have any say in the matter at all?
Why, no.
Of course not.
Well, gee, if it means staying in the Boy Scouts.
Now, that's the can-do spirit I expect out of Troop 69. Mind if I stay and watch and take some pictures? Oh, by the way, I am heterosexual, just so you know.
That's fine with me if it's okay with Kenny.
I don't think anything will ever be okay for me again for the rest of my life.
So you see, gentle listeners, this is what the Boy Scouts have sold their souls for. 30 pieces of silver, so that poor little Kenny has to accept little Jimmy's pee-pee in his poo hole. Is that what you envisioned when you sent your child off to the Boy Scouts? This is why our country is damned, damned, damned. And the most holy, true God of Jesus is going to take out his righteous indignation on us, just like he did to Sodom and Gomorrah. So be ready for fiery death, which will come at any time, as God shows us his love by destroying every man, woman, and child. I am the Most Reverend Apostle Bishop Evangelist Biff Buford with this message of peace and love from the First Church of the Holy God in Righteousness for his name's sake assembly of apostles and disciples of the one true Jesus. Sleep well.
Now this talking has put me in the mood for a cup of coffee. How about you?
Long-haul truck drivers Jimmy and Billy have just wrapped up a visit at one of America's clean and safe travel centers where they fueled up the vehicle and now they're getting ready to get back out on the road. Jimmy's turned behind the wheel. He's just waiting for Billy to show. Oh, here he comes now. Hey there, Billy. I've been waiting on your ass. What do you got there?
Well, I got us a cup of coffees here, Jimmy.
All right, well, get on in here. Let's get on the road, and thank you for the coffee. Oh, it's going to be a long night of driving ahead of us, Billy. I know. That's why I got us each a double shot of espresso in these here Starbucks coffees I bought. Starbucks? Is you out of your mind? What the hell are you talking about, Jimmy? God damn it, Billy, don't you ever watch the church channels on TV? Not if there's wrestling on. Jesus Christ, Billy. Don't you know that Starbucks could turn you gay? Oh, that's nonsense, Jimmy. That's pure bullshit is all that is. Oh, is it? Well, sir, you just listen here to what Reverend David Barton had to say at his weekly service at the Whitesburg Baptist Church in Huntsville, Alabama.
Starbucks is pouring all this money into destroying traditional marriage. The question is, can a Christian give money to a group he knows will use it to attack what God supports? If you know that when you buy a cup of Starbucks, 5, 10, 15 cents is going to be used to defeat marriage, can you do that? Answer is no. Biblically, there's no way a Christian can help support what is attacking God. I'm sorry, you got to find some other coffee to drink. Can't drink Starbucks and be biblically right on this thing. It's just a real simple principle.
Now, just how in the hell do you do that, Jimmy? Do what, Billy? Sound just like the Reverend there. I don't know what you're talking about. With the applause and everything. Look, just never mind. Just dump that Starbucks out the window. You go drinking that Starbucks coffee, you may as well drink a cup full of the devil's semen, because you're going to end up as gay as a San Francisco faggot. Oh, come on now, Jimmy. You know that's just a bunch of hogwash. Here, go ahead. No, I don't want any. Go ahead, try a little sip. It ain't gonna hurt you none. You mean other than turn me gay, and that's what you're gonna be if you drink that thing. You know there's no way Starbucks is gonna turn you gay, Jimmy, for Christ's sakes. You're married and you got 6 kids. I'm married and I got 7, and I can barely stand being with you, let alone being with other men. Good God Almighty, like a cup of coffee is gonna turn you gay. Hell, maybe you're right, Billy. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong, but maybe you're right. It just ain't scientific, Jimmy. That's all. It ain't scientific. Well, I could use a cup of coffee. Thank you there, Billy. Don't mention. Yeah, what kind did you get me here? I think that's a pumpkin spice latte. Kind of tastes like pumpkin pie in a coffee cup. What do you get? I got the Venti white chocolate mocha with 2 extra shots of espresso in it. There's 2 extra shots in yours too there, Jimmy. Well, it tastes mighty fine. Hey, is that a rest stop up there? My eyes are kind of fuzzy. Yeah, that looks like a rest stop up there, Jimmy. You got to stop? I thought we just used the... Well, you know me. I'm over 40. My prostate's acting up. I feel like I need to take another whiz. If it's all right with you. It's all right with me if it's all right with you. All right, well, let's just see if there's a parking space in here. Oh, good. This place is almost empty. Good job of parking there, Jimmy. Yep, I'm the best in the business. All right, let's get those pants off. Oh, you beat me to it. Back in the sleeper.
This message brought to you in the public interest by the fine, family-loving people who make Folgers. The best part of waking up is realizing your underwear are still facing the same direction they was when you went to bed, and they ain't bloody. Folgers. Try a cup. It won't turn you gay.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
And apparently, it's one of the few things left in America that won't turn you gay. Did you know, for instance, according to our friends at rightwingwatch.org, a project of the People for the American Way, Gordon Klingenschmidt. I've always liked that name, Klingenschmidt. Sounds like what happens when you eat too much candy. Earlier this week, he issued a public apology for his recent statement that a brutal attack on a pregnant woman in the state was due to the curse of God upon America for legal abortion, and he announced he would suspend his daily Pray in Jesus' Name television program for the remainder of the Colorado legislative session. Like I said, he's a state representative. Apparently that suspension doesn't begin until after Easter, since today Klingenschmidt uploaded several new programs to his YouTube channel, including one in which he predicts that a century from now, 20% of Americans will be gay.
Now let's take a moment and discern the spirits. I remember reading a report, gosh, now it's 2015, right? 5 years ago when the 2010 census came out, they didn't poll sexual orientation, but they did poll the number of non-married same-sex cohabitators. And you know, it was less than 1% nationwide. And that was just 5 years ago. Now, it's up to, they're saying the nationwide average is about 3%. So it is growing nationwide, but it's still less gay people in the South where they believe the Bible than there are on the left coast where they don't believe the Bible. This proves to me that the Bible works. That when people believe the Bible, they promote holiness and they invite the Holy Spirit to rule their hearts. They don't have all of these homosexual addiction problems that they have in places where they don't believe the Bible. And they reject the Bible, and they teach their children in California schools that homosexuality is a good thing, and they celebrate Harvey Milk Day, and they have all kinds of policies to promote that in the classroom. Well, no wonder their population is growing. They're recruiting people into that movement on the left coast. This proves to me that the disparity in that population proves to me that it is a recruitment effort for your children. And thank God they're resisting that in Alabama. I wish the rest of America would protect their children as well as they do in Alabama, which is why they have a lower percentage of children recruited, according to this Gallup poll, in the state of Alabama. Now, I've also read that children of gay couples, if you have two moms, there might be a 20% chance that you'll become gay yourself. Not because you were born that way, but because you're re-educated into that lifestyle. By having two lesbian moms, you're actually increasing the chances that you, the child yourself, will become homosexual. So everyone's saying, oh, you're just born that way. No. It's a re-education effort. Here's my prediction. In 100 years, if we continue to allow this recruiting effort across America, all of the children in all of the public schools, if we don't stop this, will be re-educated that this is a good thing. And I predict in 100 years, 20% of America could become homosexual.
Well, if they're not already, have you been to a high school recently? Have you seen for the seniors, they've got desks set up for the Army recruiters, the Navy recruiters, the Marine Corps recruiters, and the homosexual recruiters. It truly is a wonderment in these end times. I am your host, the Grim Weeper, and let's stop and weep for a moment over the fate of a poor Christian pizzeria that had to close its doors because they would not cater to homosexual weddings.
Have been vilified by some as homophobes and bigots. Mocked on television and social media, with no less than 4 other states and nearly a dozen cities implementing travel bans against Indiana. Then today, a new dramatic chapter. After the owners of Memories Pizza and Ice Cream in the small town of Walkerton, Indiana, answered a hypothetical question honestly and told a TV crew they would say no to catering a gay wedding because of their religious beliefs. The fury that has followed has forced that business to shut its doors and set off a new debate about which side is being intolerant. We have a powerful lineup tonight with senior political analyst Britt Hume, former Arkansas governor and potential 2016 candidate Mike Huckabee, and Democratic pollster Bernard Whitman. But we begin tonight with Trace Gallagher, who reports from our West Coast newsroom on the small town family, now at the center of a white-hot controversy. Trace?
And Megan, 61-year-old Kevin O'Connor opened up Memories Pizza in Walkerton, Indiana 9 years ago, and his 9 children have all worked there at some point. Yesterday, a local TV station came into the restaurant to get opinions about Indiana's new religious freedom law. Kevin and his daughter were both interviewed. The daughter said this. Listen.
We're not discriminating against anyone. It's just that's our belief. And everybody has the right to believe anything.
Kevin went on to say, as always, anyone is welcome in his pizza place, but because of his religious beliefs, he couldn't cater a same-sex wedding. He thought he was saying it metaphorically since he's never catered any wedding, but the response was vicious. Prior to the interview, he had 2 Yelp reviews. Both were excellent. At one point today, he had more than 1,200, mostly negative and nasty reviews. Yelp keeps taking them down, but right now he still has more than 500. Their Facebook page has also been inundated with threats and mean messages that he says just get more and more angry. For now, the restaurant is closed because the phone won't stop ringing, and they don't know which orders are real and which are phony. He's not sure when or if he'll reopen. And just minutes ago, I spoke to him on the phone. He said he doesn't know where all the hatred comes from, telling me, quoting here, because I don't believe in something that they want, they see fit to be angry about it. It's really confusing to me. I'm just a little guy in a little tiny town. That's where I've been my whole life. He ended by saying, it's just been ugly. I don't know what to call it. Kevin O'Connor, mind you, stands by his comments because that's...
That report, of course, coming from the Fox News Network, and I don't know about you, but I couldn't tell which side of the story they were taking. Let's see if Bill O'Reilly on the O'Reilly Report can straighten all this out for us.
With us here in New York City, syndicated columnist Ann Coulter. And you wrote a column today that says what?
It says the media is subjecting us to a whole series of fake stories, and we have a different hate campaign each week from, you know, hands up, don't shoot, the fraternity rape at UVA, going back to the Duke lacrosse fake rape, hysteria over nuclear power, and this week's hate is just happens to be on the Christians. Now, that is a longer trend, as I described in my book, Godless. It's Christianity that the left hates most of all, because that is the foundation of our country, and everything, all of our freedoms come from that. Freedom of association, freedom of speech. This direct attack on the Christians, and I agree with your talking points memo, I wouldn't put so much stress on what's happening in other countries. The rest of the world is a cesspool of violence and atrocities. This is the most consequential nation on earth. And the fact that these Christians would rather get praise from the New York Times' Nicholas Kristof by changing bedpans of Ebola patients...
You'll have to excuse me for pausing the narrative there for a moment. Oh, Ann Coulter, she has no use for those darkies with Ebola and Christians who would waste their time trying to save their lives instead of coming back to where they're needed, here in America, so they can oppress homosexuals. Oh, do
in Nigeria, rather than stand up to the New York Times and fight against abortion and fight against these bullies, and I don't think it's gay bullies, I think it's what you, as you call them, secular progressives or liberals, the media, they're the ones who are trying to tear down this country by going directly at the heart of America, which is Christianity. Where are the Christians and where are the Republicans? I'm glad this Mike Pence isn't running for president. They are falling like
Well, I had
toy
a discussion
soldiers.
with Karl Rove last night, and I said to Mr. Rove, if the Republican nominee for president wants to win, he or she better start sticking up for people
You're
of faith.
absolutely
And
right.
because if they don't, then it's going to be the same old wishy-washy, don't have the backbone to defend us.
Yes, and
how
incidentally,
did it
Man of
happen?
Steel, Jeb Bush has backed down.
Well, I don't want to
Look, they all have.
Governor
Of
Bush.
Arkansas. If
Governor
you're going
Bush
to
will be
complain-
sitting where you're sitting soon, and we'll see if he's going to back down or not.
He did.
But 80% of Americans describe themselves as Christian. 80%, overwhelming.
Right.
All right. However, the 80% are getting thumped. They're
Yes.
losing.
Yes.
By what? 5, 8%? How did that happen?
Because these small town owners of pizzeria have more Christian courage than most Christian leaders and certainly the Republican Party. I mean, if the one thing, and a few days before Easter, it's worth mentioning, Besides eternal life with your Creator, the one thing every Christian should have is courage. The most important thing in your life, in eternity, is already taken care of. Go out and fight. You're afraid of being sneered at by the New York Times? That is the one thing every Christian should have, and most of them don't.
You have a cross on your neck. What faith are you? I mean, what religion are you?
I'm a straight Christian. I'm
Protestant?
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian.
I'm a
okay.
quarter Catholic.
You can't be a quarter
It's
Catholic.
sort of the dominant
you're either
gene.
in or you're out. All right. You can't. You
I
can't.
go to which one.
no
Everyone
hybrid.
has the evening
Okay.
services.
Now,
I'm a morning person.
My religion, Roman Catholicism, I have been critical of the fact that there are no clerics in America, zero, who put themselves out to defend the Christian faith. Nobody. All right. They might write a column here or there. But believe me, we've asked them to come on the program, and you don't get anybody to come on.
You should have asked
now,
me.
The
I know what to tell you.
We got Jeffress in Dallas, the Protestant minister, and he's now become a Fox analyst, so he comes on. We got a couple of Catholic analysts, Father Morris and things like that. But the leadership, the big boys, okay? Remember Falwell? He's dead. All right, Robertson, he's in his, I think, close to 90. So they're out of the playing field. Billy Graham, he's out of the playing field. Now his son Franklin does come on and does speak up, but there isn't an organized attempt, as there is in the gay lobby, in the abortion, women's reproductive rights lobby. You got all these pressure groups.
Right.
All right, you don't have anything on the Christian side.
Right.
Isn't that strange?
There are individuals, and I will give you a list after the show, Eric Metaxas, Michael McConnell, and as far as the priests go, Father Rutler right here in New York. I'd have them all on. But it is strange, and I'm telling you, it is cowardice. Most people would rather risk getting Ebola than being called a homophobe, a racist, the horrible accusations, ad hominem attacks thrown at Christians in this country. And it's time for Christians to recognize that the big thing's taken care of. Could you be courageous and fight for the most consequential nation on earth?
Okay.
Oh, I am just so tired of these poor, white, conservative, religio-fascist Christians being victimized by reality, aren't you? And where's the rest of the media in all of this? Well, CNN, for example, their Jake Tapper had a conversation with an Arkansas state senator named Bart Hester, who pulls off the amazing feat of contradicting himself in a single sentence.
Senator, thanks for joining us. I had thought that Governor Hutchinson had said he would sign your bill. What's your reaction to his saying it needs to now be changed to narrow it to more closely match the federal law?
Well, I think the reaction is it's not any different than the governor's handled all legislation that comes to his desk. He's very pragmatic. He's a very popular governor because he is pragmatic and fair. He's looked at this bill from all directions. He thinks there needs to be a couple amendments, and I'm open to considering those.
Let's talk about what this bill would do. If there is a conservative Christian florist, would it allow that florist to deny providing services to a gay couple who wants flowers at their wedding?
Well, I think that's two different questions to me. I think it does not allow for discrimination in any way. And it does not allow for a florist to discriminate against a gay couple looking for flowers. Now, what I think it does allow is for a florist that has a strongly held religious belief to be able to hold that belief close and not participate in the message of a homosexual wedding or ceremony. I think the First Amendment is very close to all of our hearts in America, and it's part of the cornerstones of who we are.
See, this is what I don't understand with supporters of this type of legislation. Would it allow the florist to not give flowers to the same-sex couple or not? You're saying almost two things. You're saying that there's no discrimination, but the Christian conservative doesn't have to participate in a ceremony they find objectionable. It's just one or the other. I'm just trying to figure out what it does. I'm not judging the legislation.
Sure. No, I think, to be clear, it does not allow for someone to discriminate, and I think they should absolutely serve a homosexual couple. It also lets them hold their personal religious beliefs close on a message, and that message would be they don't support a homosexual wedding. Again, I wouldn't ask a Nazi to, or I guess I wouldn't ask a Jewish baker to put a Nazi swastika on a cake. That wouldn't be fair either.
How are they going to stay true to their conservative Christian beliefs and also not discriminate? This is what I don't get here. Are you saying that they can hold true and not participate in an event that they don't find holy, that they think is objectionable or sinful? Or are you saying that they have to? I'm confused.
Well, it's not a confusing issue at all. The First Amendment is not confusing.
Oh, heavens, no, it's all perfectly clear. You see, if you're a white, conservative Christian, you have the right to inflict your religious views on others. If you're not a white or a conservative or a Christian, you'll sit in the back of the bus and take whatever is handed to you. I don't see what's so hard to understand about that. But then, these are the end times. But still, I can't help but wonder what Glenn Beck thinks of all of this.
The gay activists will boycott, will make it uncomfortable, they'll smear them.
Yeah, but they're going to do that anyway.
They'll just ratchet up the hate.
There's no way of stopping that. No RFRA, not even the First Amendment stops that. I mean, they can go out and they can say whatever they want against these people.
This is why you don't change people through, you can't legislate morality. Right. I can't believe I'm arguing, I'm arguing the other side. You can't legislate morality. This is why we have to heal our hearts. This is why we have to get to know each other. This is why we have to stand with each other. Because I know there's a ton of gay people who listen to us.
He is aware that the majority of them are listening for purposes of mockery, I hope.
Let's stop forcing each other to do things.
Have those naughty gay people been forcing you to do things again, Glenn?
You don't change anything. That ends up in concentration camps. You just start grinding and grinding and grinding away until you're in separate worlds and nobody talks to each other, and then whoever has the power, round them up and kill them because those guys are the problems.
Of course, Glenn envisions himself as one of the rounders, not one of the roundies.
What kind of America are you building, you frickin' Nazis? Don't call me a Nazi. What kind of Nazi regime are you building? Wake up. Because I know a lot of people on the left, and they're not Nazis. But you are following a Nazi group. I don't know who's even leading this.
Mr. Godwin, meet Mr. Beck. Mr. Beck, this would be Mr. Godwin, the man the law is named after. dirty young men and turned them into gay boys went as far back as 1928 in Sigmund Romberg's delightful operetta, The Student Prince. I didn't know there were gay people back then. But try not to worry about the little pizza shop that wouldn't deliver to homosexual weddings. They may have had to close their doors, but I believe they'll be opening them soon enough. There's a GoFundMe campaign underway, and when I started recording today's program at about 10:24 this morning, they had already raised $525,490. Now, at 12:38 in the morning, now at 12:38 p.m., that number has gone up to $584,294. That's an increase of nearly $60,000 in a span of about 2 hours, which goes to prove one thing the Grim Weeper has always known. Give right-wing, conservative, religiofascists something to hate, and they'll throw all their money at it. Oh, that's how much fun it is in these end times.
Daily Show, CNN, GOP is not your friend. Christian right sitting tight and making other folks fight. When this heart Huckabee, no thinking, ass thinking, watch a Sharia law, even in Arkansas. Kill a Muslim or a Hindu, what's the difference? Make a deal, fuck you. Uh-oh, this means we lose. Nominee, not for me. Why choose? Testament of lies. Offer me some respite, offer me quietude. I decline. It's the end of all days as we know them. It's the end of all days as we know them. It's the end of all days as we know them in these end times. These end times.
In These End Times, hosted by the Grim Weeper, is a copyright production of the End Times Tribune. You can find their website at endtimestribune.com and give them a tweet from time to time at End Times Tribune. That's at End Times Tribune. Thanks to our friends at Right Wing Watch, Media Matters, and of course REM for providing the theme music for which we wrote the lyrics. Remember, in these end times, anything can happen.
This podcast is part of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry.com is where listeners and podcasters come together. Check it out at blueberrywithnoease.com.